Zelazny might have a run here. He pulls up. 2 laps to go at Auto Club Speedway. What a run this has been. 5 cars out front just dancing around for the lead. Salas back to the bottom. Honeycutt stuck up top. Slide job out of Salas. Crossover out of Honeycutt.
23 should have a big run here. He does.
You see Salas starting to cover it up. He goes up the racetrack. Honeycutt's clear of them both. He shoves it up in front of the 23, gets himself loose. It'll be white flag this time by. Salas down low. Zelazny looking for a hole. Side by side, 3 wide, coffee in it. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. Brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Who is going to win the Luke's Playhouse 200? Honeycutt controlling the race. Coffee in second. Tires are aging. Zelazny off the top rope. Got a little bit free. He's going to crash with lights. And yes, wall there. Who knows? Honeycutt, though, leading the race. Can Coffee get a run? He's going to send it. He hits him. Big bump and run. Coffee's going to try and get away. Can Salas get there? Coffee's going to crash. Salas is going to crash. Watch Nick Lights here to the stripe. Salas is going to do it with no front bumper.
Unbelievable.
Wow. There's the white flag from Barney the Flagman. 1 lap to go at Long Beach. White flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams.
Yeah, can really hold him off. He looked like he's started to gap Cantonio just ever so slightly. Got about half of a second. It's been hovering right around there. Oh, Cantonio really pushing. He's sideways out of turn number 1. But Rayleigh just keeping that car pointed in the right direction. Nice and smooth, able to keep it going. It's going to be tough. Antonio knows that there's not very many chances, even if he can get close enough to him to make a move. So we'll see as they come through 6 and 7, head toward turn 8 onto the backstretch.
Deeper in the field, nothing changing. Lap traffic ahead. It's Kevin Peak and Bradley Alvis right in front of our race leaders down East Seaside Way. And to turn number 9 for the final time. Lap traffic in the way, and Rayleigh goes for it on Peak. He sends it into turn 9. He knows he can't wait. He knows he can't give an opportunity to Kevin Cantonio. Cantonio's going to take it anyway. Ships it into the hairpin, and Rayleigh's going to get away. Thomas Rayleigh is going to be a race winner in the North American Racing League. A last lap bump and run wasn't enough. This man wins at Long Beach.
Wow, what a finish coming through that hairpin. I thought they were all going to wad it up. We had lap traffic in there, staying in there.
It's just the second road course on the 2025 Season 5 season. However, while it is only a Popeye's biscuit away from an oval, as one Emerson Arden might say, this place is very technical. Watkins Glen International, it takes a lot to get this place absolutely picture perfect, and I think the simplicity of this course certainly makes most drivers that come here feel a little more confident, meaning it's that much easier to mess things up around this 2.45 mile road course that we're on this evening. Welcome to the virtual Watkins Glen, New York, and welcome to Pitstop TV. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. I've got Emerson Arden joining me alongside this evening, and it is going to be a fun night here for the BRB Sundance Pro Series. Of course, this broadcast, as always, brought to you by Sundance Pizza, the BRB Racing League, and by all series partners. Tonight is the I Can't Drive 55 by Rev Sim Shop, and Emerson, I don't know if I can drive 55 right now. My car is out of service with a bad alternator, but these guys, they're going to try to drive 55 laps around Watkins Glen. I'm intrigued to see how this one's going to go.
Absolutely. 55 big ones around Watkins Glen International. You're right. I always say it's the Popeye's biscuit away from being an oval because look at it. It almost is. But it just suits stock car racing so well. You have so much runoff out of turn 1 or the 90. That heavy braking zone that really provides a prime passing opportunity. Also, the bus stop is just so much fun. It is the technical part of the course for any series, if you will, and it, again, amazing passing opportunity at the bus stop. Turn 6 and 7, nice flowy section as well. There's just so much to this track. You can't, of course, forget about the S's where it tightens up. The guardrails come up and close right next to that pavement. So if any trouble occurs near towards the top of that hill, there's nowhere to go. The carousel, turn number 5 on the far end of the circuit is so much fun, but don't get too fast. Don't go too fast in there. You got the tabletop waiting for you on the top side. That'll really kill all of your momentum. Such a fun track, especially with these big, heavy stock cars. You can really fling them around. There's so much runoff, and it really is the epitome of a road course built for stock car racing. Of course, Formula One, IndyCar, ARCA, IMSA, so many more motorsport bodies, motorsport leagues that have made their foray here into Watkins Glen, of course, using the boot layout as well. But Watkins Glen, just being such a fun course, should be a great night tonight.
I'm excited for it. I do want to get straight into one point, and that is actually going to be, of course, the points. Right along with the segue, I suppose. Of course, the points coming into this evening have shaken up quite a bit since last week at Michigan. Brendan Maddox is still your points leader, but not by a whole lot over Stephen Borbell and Johnny Wood Jr. I think definitely we've got kind of 2 or 3 stages of this championship battle right now, Emerson. Certainly there's a top 3 favorites. Those are the 23, the 2, the 75, Maddox, Borbell, and Wood. Then you have some contenders. Those are Clark, Buzzio, Fritz. Of course, Clark fresh off that win at Michigan. He's one to watch tonight. But those 3 guys, all very good as well. And then you have guys who are just on the fringe. And they're on the fringe of being in the battle, fringe of being out. And I think certainly guys like Carl Pooler, Evan Batsinko, and Jordan White, tonight's make it or break it. But the 3 guys ahead of them, Wolsifer, Parent, Hall, they have a little more room to work with here, but they need to be on their A game. They have to maximize stage points. If they are not in the top 5 of the stage, they may as well consider it a wash unless something very drastic happens for the overall race points. It's going to have to be an all-night effort for each of these drivers in the chase, and of course, only 10 spots in the stage points. 12 drivers in the chase. They can't all get stage points, so definitely the top end of this field is going to be tight here tonight. Without further ado, I do want to roll into our pre-race show and all the drivers we have to talk to here today. First up on the board is going to be driver number 56. I had to remind myself there. Richard Wolsifer. We talked a little bit last week about the fact that it was his kind of maybe best chance to get back into victory lane. The last time he won was at Michigan. It didn't happen for him. He couldn't get the win last week, ends up coming up short. Can tonight get him back on track? Let's go ahead and bring in driver 56 as the opening, if you will, driver of tonight's MXWraps.com pre-race show. A little behind here, Richard, but as you've had time to practice, had time to get well acquainted with this car here at Watkins Glen, I know this is different from the old next gen But how are we feeling about the ARCA car at Watkins Glen? To me, I feel like it's a blast, but I know there's mixed reviews out there.
Hey, Andrew. Yeah, the car's actually kind of blast here at Watkins Glen, but honestly, I really haven't raced a single car here that wasn't a blast. This track is just a lot of fun, a lot of high speeds, everywhere on this track. I like to call it the super speedway of road courses, but having a lot of fun. I think this car is mainly just going to be all about your momentum, your rhythm, and just carrying it through every single turn as safely and fast as you possibly can. So trying to look at doing that because I know consistency is really the thing I struggle with.
And I'll save Emerson here for this first round of interviews. But Richard, we got some stats on the screen as we typically do. 9 starts on road courses in BRB. Of those 9 starts, just 3 top 10s, no top 5s. How do we get you in the top 5 tonight? What's it going to take?
Like I just mentioned, it's just got to be me being consistent. If there's any road course that I could do it at, it's going to be this one. I know last season the last time we raced, we were racing the next gen cars. And I know I was running second the entire stage 1 and then just kind of made a mistake out of the bus stop. So if I can minimize the amount of mistakes I make myself, whether it be just losing control of the car in the turns or speeding on pit road, which has been a new thing for me lately, I think we can pull off a top 5, if not better, tonight.
And of course, an announcement made recently for 6.5 Motorsport. I think we'll hopefully be talking to him here in a few. Scott Fritz adding to your guys' team next season. What's that going to be like for you guys to add the 48 car to the 4A?
I know Johnny and I are excited to bring Scott on board. I know he had lost his teammate earlier in the season due to some issues. But, being in a single driver out there on your own team, it can be boring sometimes. And it's also, you don't get a lot of help, especially in super speedways. So I reached out to him, asked if he was looking for either rebuilding his team at Full Tilt or moving to a different team. And he said that we were actually one of the top teams he was looking forward to because he didn't want to switch manufacturers. So us being Chevy just kind of fit. But him and Johnny, they run next to each other every single week. Johnny's been teaching me a lot. I've been learning a lot from Johnny. I've been running next to Johnny every week. So in turn, I'm around Scott. I think adding him to the team and the dynamic that we have is going to be really beneficial in the long run. I think all 3 of us can run on the same strategy and be finishing in top 10s or better every single week next season. So it's going to be really exciting to have him on board.
Richard, it's good to talk to you as always. Boy, it's going to be a rough one out there. I don't know who is going to be good. You're up towards the top of the speed chart so far, so best of luck.
Thanks, Andrew.
Richard Wolsifer, driver 56 here with 6.5 Motorsport. We'll move him back up to his team channel. Actually, he got it. Cool. That speeds things up for us. Now, we have a bit of an announcement coming up next. Of course, we've talked a lot this season about the season schedule all through season number 5. We can take a look at the season number 5 schedule right here. Daytona opened things up. It was Nashville, Richmond, Long Beach, Charlotte, the opening 5 races. Then we went to North Wilkesboro. The winter really got going. Chicagoland, Pocono, California, all to set up for this run to the chase from Las Vegas through Kentucky, Darlington, and Atlanta. Last week was Michigan to open up the chase. Tonight it's Watkins Glen. 3 more to go after tonight. Talladega, Phoenix, Miami. Some real kind of NASCAR chase vibes, if you will. But things are changing for season number 6. This is a perfect segue into the next driver we're talking to, Adam Buzzio. And Adam, I know it's not... it's kind of been Steven's announcements lately, but we're using this as a segue to talk to you. You're an admin. You're one of the keystones of the BRB Sundance Pro Series, and there's a couple of tracks that we get to unveil tonight on broadcast that will be on the Season 6 schedule. Would you like to indulge yourself, or shall I?
Oh, no, Andrew, take it. You have a much better commentating voice.
Well, we do have a graphic for it. I need to remind myself, I believe it's in this one right here. Drum roll, please, if you will. We just looked at the Season 5 schedule. Season 6, we've already talked about some of the races that will be on it. And here you are. We've unveiled 3 more. Bottom of the left side of the screen, Iowa, Indianapolis, and Rockingham. There's been a lot of debate in the league Discord as of late as to which tracks those would be. I think we all kind of knew Iowa, but 8 and 9, Indianapolis and Rockingham, we had decent ideas, but there were still guesses being thrown out today that were wrong. So I think it was still kind of up in the air as to what those two races could be. And Adam, from your standpoint, first as a driver, how excited are you for those races specifically?
From a driver's standpoint, super excited. I love short tracks. I love Rockingham. Iowa, I don't have a lot of experience there, but it's in my wheelhouse as far as short tracks go. I'm super excited for Rockingham, though. I absolutely love that track, so really excited to see it on the schedule. Indianapolis is always a kind of a prestigious gem of a race, so happy to see it on there as well. From an admin perspective, little worried about the smaller, rougher tracks, but if the racing keeps up next season like it's been the last half of this season, we'll be in good shape.
So, of course, 9 races still to go as far as revealing. Can you give us any clues, or is that kind of, does Steven have a plan maybe? I mean, what kind of nuggets can we get as far as the rest of the schedule for season 6?
Oh, I'm not going to give away any nuggets.
Man.
Yeah.
Worth a shot.
Can't. Steven's plan is chaos, and I'm going with it. So, no, I think there'll be, there's going to be a few surprises. I will say that. And then a couple staples. So we'll just kind of leave it at that. But there's at least one more, I think, pretty good surprise. So.
All right. Adam, now we kind of transition towards the race today at hand. You come into today's race 16 points back, Brendan Maddox, but you have a little bit of road racing prowess, a little on your side. You got 7 starts in road courses here in BRB, but 3 top 5, 6.6 average finish, and you're up there on the practice charts. How important is it for you to get a good run today to set yourself up nicely heading into another wild card, but maybe a wild card where you can't control your destiny as much as Talladega?
Yeah, it's super important. You hit the nail on the head, man. Talladega is a wild card for totally different reasons. I love road racing. I don't look to be competing for the win tonight. I don't think I'm going to have anything for Hall or for Brendan, but if we can stay clean, not make any mistakes, we should be up there in the top 5, I think, on pure speed. So just going to try to stay out of trouble and bring her home in one piece. And if the cards fall our way, we'll be in the right place to be able to take advantage of it, hopefully.
Adam, good to talk to you as always. Of course, qualifying getting going. We'll let you get to work here, but best of luck out there in car 5 tonight.
All right, boys. Appreciate you.
And that is Adam Buzio. We'll get him back up to his team chat up there with Stephen Borbell. It looks like Scott Fritz did not... Oh, well, I guess we can get him at the back end of qualifying. He jumped into the Discord right while we were talking to Adam there, it looks like. So we'll get him at the back end of qualifying, perhaps. But what we should do here while qualifying gets going, Emerson, since we have a slightly longer session tonight, we, of course, do want to take a look at some paint schemes and get our bearings about ourselves for Best in Show, of course, brought to you by MXWraps.com. This is, I think, pretty much the same paint scheme we've seen for Richard Wolsifer out there in the Stints Built 56, but let's take a look at some others out there as Josh Parent gets on the racetrack of the Whiplash Simcams number 22, the same blue car that he ran a little more recently in the season. Johnny Wood Jr. still out there in the Coors Banquet, number 75. Cole Lewis, let's see, he's got his Tito's Vodka, number 52, on the racetrack this evening. Coulter Clark back in his Red Bull colors out of Norman, Oklahoma. Kyle Klenk. It's the Chase Elliott, I think, 2020 base on his car, the black, white, and red for Rev Sim Shop. Of course, that would be fitting with tonight's presenting partner of RevSimShop.com. Others on the racetrack, though, certainly will include Zachary Hall. Same paint scheme we've seen him in since the throwback race at Darlington, the kind of Ricky Hendrick-esque throwback there for him. We do have Zach Maddox in attendance this evening. Good to see him back out here from Fort Worth, Texas, in the American Airlines number 14. Evan Batinko, of course, still in that Jeff Gordon 2013 13th driver in the Chase paint scheme, which definitely fit with him being the driver, well, the first driver that was added to the Chase this season, as other drivers had to drop out. Of course, Rusty Rafferty out there in a Miss Rachel number 34 Chevrolet. The creativity certainly is there. William Maple Jr. in the 21 car. Dan Stoccaro. A lot of these are paint schemes we've seen before, but certainly still some good ones out there. I will never get enough of this one, Emerson.
Oh, wow. This is a beaut right here. This Interstate Batteries machine from the 18, Gray Walker. Oh, man. And just love it. I love the green, the transition, everything. It just brings a scheme back to life that we haven't seen in a little bit. In the real life side, and then we saw one earlier in practice. Andrew, I don't know if he's on track yet, but the 8 machine of the Dakota Blade. I mean, that one was also just tugging at the heartstrings. Yeah, that one, you right there, the Amp Energy machine.
Oh yeah, this is an absolutely beautiful car to me as a Dale Jr. fan, lifelong Dale Jr. fan. This one is a really cool one to see on the racetrack. Of course, one that will get you going will be that 48 for Scott Fritz. We'll try and chat with him here in a few. But there is Scott out of Leonardtown, Maryland. And then, of course, the chat is asking for Jordan White. Unfortunately, he's not on the racetrack right now, or we'd show him to you. But Emerson, I got to ask who you got here. I'll tell you what. Typically, I would force somebody to just do 2 out the gate. I'll have you do 1, I'll do 2, and I'll let you clean up at the end, I guess. But who you got for your first Best in Show nomination?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I was sitting here on a couple until you showed me Interstate Batteries machine, the Gray Walker. I think that's gonna be my first pick here. This Gray Walker's number 18 machine. I mean, that thing just it roars to life just looking at it. I think it's gonna be nice to see out there. I wonder where he's looking on the timing sheet once he gets the time in to see if he'll really be up there, because I think it'll be hard to miss that thing. Right now it's 3rd, so I mean, I think it'll be hard to miss if he's gonna be competitive tonight.
I will get Gray here in my list of drivers. Gray Walker, certainly a good one. Man, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have to give it to Dakota Bly, I think. I'm a Dale Jr. fan. I can't pass this one up. He's run the Dale Jr. 8 font more recently, but this is a nice little change up to a really cool paint scheme that Dale ran, of course, over at Hendrick Motorsports. So Dakota Bly will get a vote from me today, and then I also think, I'm thinking, that's scary. I know we've got a new paint scheme out there for Brendan Maddox that we have not seen yet, the green and black. This is definitely a little bit different. The orange numbers on the side with the green, certainly a little bit unorthodox, but I wanted to get a look at it at the very least. I'm going to go ahead. I didn't get it last week. I didn't nominate it last week, so I'm going to go ahead and give it to Johnny Wood Jr. As there you see, he spun around in qualifying. That was out of turn 6, out of turn 7. But Johnny Wood Jr., I'm going to give him a nod.
You know, I like that. It is a nice card, a Coors Banquet machine. I think who I'll go with for, I think I have the luxury of being relatively new to the series, new to this season for sure, that I can kind of, go with any of these because I haven't really been here to pick or see them. So, it was the purple earlier for me from Adam Teseo, in that 15 machine. I don't think he's made it to the track. There he is. It was just speaking to me. I don't know. I really like the 2 different shades of purple. It's a number 15 machine for me.
There you go. Those will be your 4 cars that are nominated today for MX Rap's Best in Show contest, and that vote will go live now and run through the completion of our opening stage. We do have Jordan White hitting the racetrack, and he does have a new paint scheme out there this evening. It's a shame he didn't get out there earlier. I do like it. I think I would still go for the same 2 that I went for, Emerson, personally, but it is a good paint scheme, I will say.
Nice and clean, like the white, and then you have the blue, a little bit of is that pearlescent action? You're kind of getting from that blue on the side. I think it's nice with the sun bouncing off that blue. We'll see if we can bring the speed with the brand new speedy paint scheme the 83 has brought to the track today. At the 7th on the charts, second lap right here.
I gotta say, this qualifying is surprising me. Let's get to the competition side of things. Brendan Maddox on pole so far. Richard Wolsifer P2. Kyle Klenk 3rd. Adam Buzzio. And there he goes. He's gonna ruin it all. Zach Hall to pole in car number 32 by a 1/10.5 or so. So he really knocked down that 23 right back off of pole position. I do think he's gonna be our favorite here today. But there's still time. Who knows what can happen. Here's Jordan White across the line. He goes slower lap 2. And Scott Fritz is wrapped up with his run. So let's go ahead and let's see if we can get a hold of Scott Fritz. While we take a look at some other paint schemes and other drivers qualifying, let's bring in driver 48. He got in a little bit late to the league Discord. That doesn't mean we can't talk to him here. It is still pre-race after all, and we have a little bit extra time here in the back end of qualifying with the longer session. So Scott, a little bit delayed in dialing you up here this evening, but you have 4 previous BRB road course starts. In those starts, you've actually done decently well for yourself. 13th place average finish, a top 5, 2 top 10s in those 4 races. Can we add to that tonight? How are you feeling so far? Obviously, you just went and qualified 12th out of the 21 so far. A little bit of work to do, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm usually not a very good one-lap wonder at the road courses, but usually we end up being pretty good in the race. We're good on the long run in the road courses, so just need to keep the tires on it, keep together, and we should be up there around the top 5 towards the end of this thing.
And this, I even touted it over in the Who You Got post on Facebook. This is a rebound opportunity for you especially to get back into it. I have it incorrectly labeled here as 18 points to the lead. I'm sorry, I just kind of walked on your opportunity here, Emerson, but point being, a rebound opportunity for you, Scott. I know you maybe aren't, considered one of the great road racers of BRB, but can you take advantage of this? Can you stay consistent and try to outlast some of these guys who have mistakes and still have a good finish tonight?
If we can just max my stage points tonight and just come home with a decent top 10, try and get a top 5, and just get as many points as we can, it'll be pretty good. We've gave up a lot of low points last week. We're up front bound for a win and just haven't had much luck the last few weeks. Been ran over or just poor luck, and hopefully we can turn it around tonight.
And as it comes to the back end of qualifying, how will it be, or how challenging will it be to make up spots? You say you're around the 12th position right now as we wait for the final times to come in. Where will be your opportunities tonight, and how aggressive will you be? I guess you say you're not much of a one lap wonder, and you'll pick them off as they come. But how aggressive will you be at the start as everyone's all bunched up?
Yeah, with only having the stage caution, you definitely have to be aggressive and try and get as many as you can. Some of these guys are going to be able to lay down knock 3 or 4 really quick laps off in a row and be able to put a decent gap. But car's pretty free on top of the racetrack, so the tires are going to wear. So some of these guys are going to kind of use their rears up pretty quickly, and you'll be able to run them down later in the run. So if we can just keep tires on it and just not give up too much time early, we'll be there at the end.
Good to talk to you as always, Scott. I know still a lot of work to do, not only this evening, but this season, to try and stay in contention and win this championship. Best of luck.
Thank you, Andrew.
And we'll get him moved back up to his team channel, kind of on his lonesome this evening. This season, most of this season. Hasn't really had teammates at all this season. But regardless, Scott has done really good for himself so far, and it'll be exciting to see what he can do here this evening. So drivers headed to the grid. I do want to take a look briefly at the power rankings. We have a longer pace lap. I think we can go ahead and knock this out really quick. Power rankings coming into tonight, Emerson. Here's a look at them, bottom right. Things have changed, and I want to talk about this a little bit. We do go in and we take out old results that are, the oldest results, 10, 11, 12 races back, to try to keep the results fresh so they don't get too stale and just average out to all be the same anyways. So we do take out some old results, and that has given some drivers a boost. It has hurt some drivers, actually, frankly. So Zach Hall got a huge boost out of that despite finishing relatively poorly at Michigan last week. So keep that in mind here. But we're going to try to minimize the future result deletions, if you will, the rest of the chase. This is kind of like a reset point. Get it reset, get some fresher results in now, and we should just carry these on the rest of the chase. But that said, Zach Hall on top, 67.3, one of the highest numbers we've seen while doing this power rankings, thanks to Joe Boyer. This has been fantastic to add to the broadcast. Adam Buzzio, he's up there second. I think that actually fits how well he's been running. And for Zach as well, I think they both have been one of the top 2 drivers, or a couple of the top 2 drivers in the series. I think it is unfortunate to see Stephen Borbell so low down the order, considering he nearly won last week. And that was kind of why I wanted to mention that some drivers got moved around a little bit with old results being pulled out. He dropped, even though he should have picked up. It's a matter of how many results are in there. So There might still be a couple of races that get taken out just to kind of help average things out a little better, but I wanted to say all that before anybody noticed, I guess, that Steven went down despite finishing second last week at Michigan. It's just a little funky how the formula can work sometimes, but we're trying to reset it and have fresh results to the end. That said, Emerson, soapbox away. We can talk about those again later. We've got a grid. 24 cars here this evening. And this will just about conclude the MX Wraps pre-race show. We can go ahead and get to the ATVO starting grid. On pole, the numbers are inverses of one another. The 32 and 23 will lead us to the green flag today at Watkins Glen. Back in row number 2, though, it'll be Richard Wolsifer and non-chase driver Kyle Klenk. In row 3, Adam Buzzio and Gray Walker. Back in row 4, you'll find Jourdain White, the Jamaican sensation, on the inside of row number 4, alongside Stephen Borabell. And to complete your top 10 here today, Coulter Clark and Josh Parent.
We go to row number 6, it'll be Johnny Wood and Scott Fritz making up the 75 and 48 machines in that row. Going back to row number 7, it'll be Carl Pooler and William Maple, 71-21 machines in row 7. It'll be the 81 of Evan Patinko, 15th, and the 52 Cole Lewis, 16th. They'll make up row number 8. Rusty Rafferty in the 34 machine, Zachary Maddox in the 14 machine. Those will be the 2 machines in row 9. Jason Bottoms in P19, Dakota Bly, and P20 will be the 10th row on the grid.
Back in 21st, you'll find Dan Stockero, Sam Dyer alongside, and complete your field this evening, Robert Moyer Jr. and Anthony Teseo at the back of the field. Some note-keeping, if you will. Evan Patinko will have to go to the pit lane after lap number 1. He'll have to serve a pass-through penalty. That is stemming from actions at Michigan last week. Initially, it was going to be a suspension, so he was able to get that lowered down, it sounds like, and will still have to serve the pass-through and go to the rear of the field effectively by some quite large margin here at the start. As we get set to go, let's take a look first at weather conditions, brought to you by MXWraps.com. 73 in the air, 86 on track, clear skies. It's a perfect day for virtual racing. And the Whiplash SimCam's race details. Stage 1 will last 15 laps. We'll run 40 from there to the end. Of course, we only plan to have the one-stage caution here today. Keep your head on a swivel, though. Anything could always happen here at Watkins Glen International. Out of turn number 7 and down the long front straight here at Watkins Glen. 24 ARCA cars set to go racing. The BRB Sundance Pro Series I Can't Drive 55 is live. And down the backstretch, see these guys starting to string out through the S's, mostly single file towards the front. But you have a couple of side-by-sides. Wolsifer will get by the 23 of Maddox there into the bus stop for the first time. The bus stop always tricky the first time through, Emerson.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the first time through. You got cars all around for the first time, pretty much the entire race weekend. And you got cold tires, cold brakes, everything kind of trying to come up to temp. We're right on board with Clark here as he's trying to make a move up the inside of Walker. This will be up into turn 6, trying to get it done. Looks like he'll have momentum as he'll head down to turn 7. Oh, it'll have a checkup from Clank right in front. They're all stacking up on top of one another.
Cars around in the back. Look at the 22, the 71. They each have problems lap 1. The 81 is going to hit the pit lane. That's Evan Patinko. You see him left side of your screen there. He's hitting the pits to serve that penalty. There he is. And we apparently have some lap 1 mayhem to go review, specifically with the 22 and 71. Parent already towards the back, but up front it is Zach Hall through the S's, Richard Wolsifer second, Brendan Maddox third, Jourdain White in the 4th spot. Problems now for the 14. Zach Maddox with an issue out of turn 1.
Unfortunate trouble there for the 14 machine. That time he was at least farther down the track, gives people the opportunity to miss where his car was parked there. So lucky where he kind of ended up there. He'll get back going, but way down the running order for the 14 machine, P23.
It's a 1.6 second gap already. It's only lap 2 for Zach Hall. He is gone. Not having Mason Hausman, not having Gavin Rogers here tonight. If he's really this fast and can maintain this the rest of the evening, Emerson, I don't think there's any touch in the 32 car.
Yeah, this can happen. We can see this. There's somebody that just has this road racing knack a little bit more, even a little half tick more than the rest of the field. They'll show it out early. It'll be now, can they maintain it as the tires age? That'll be the real challenge. You see, Wolfsburg goes fast as now Clink. This is just the second time around for all these guys. We'll see if Hall has kind of worked himself into a rhythm to maybe maintain some tires, some rear end grip, if you will, with the high horsepower to the rear tires. We're going to take a look at some of those incidents from the first couple laps.
This is coming to the start. We've backed all the way up here to get a proper look back at what happened lap number 1. So from high above, that might not be the greatest angle. If that's going to be back here in turn 6, that's at least down the straightaway. The start was mostly clean. A couple of checkups deeper in the field. Nothing too crazy. And I don't recall seeing really anybody out of place at the start. It was really just once they got back around to turn 6.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's minding their P's and Q's, kind of coming through the first couple of corners, up the hill through the S's, and then really the first real heavy braking zone, once you take the green flag, is up here in the bus stop. And this is where the drivers have to get a little more physical. We saw Wolfsburg on the far end of the bus stop kind of cut the course right here, and this is where maybe some trouble started to take place.
You see, that was the pass that Wolfsburg made over the 23 of Maddox from Maddox's perspective. So then you flip back here to the 22 of Josh Parent. How does he end up in trouble? He has got Fritz behind. And I wonder, is that connected possibly? And oh, absolutely. Oh. Fritz sent the heck out of the 22. Wow.
Oh.
Carl almost missed him. Replay here from the 48's perspective. Might have just gotten lost in the braking zones. I'm not really sure. I mean, he just flat ran through the 22.
I haven't ran these cars on the sim in a while. That's a little earlier than I would have braked, but you got to acknowledge that you're in traffic. There's a lot of cars around that you might have to be braking earlier than, because there's so many more factors that are, going into maybe a hot lap, as you will. Yeah. A little early on the brakes for the 22 maybe, but there's a car in front of him too.
Yeah, I think he was on pace with the braking for the 75 ahead. Scott just didn't get the memo, and then Carl Pooler nearly missed it. I didn't really see any damage on the nose of the 71 when he pulled away, but here's a look. Maybe a little bit right in the center. The valence, I think, is dipping down very slightly. It's very minimal.
He'll be fine. These big heavy stock cars, they can take a little bit of that.
Brennan Maddox putting pressure on second place. Richard Wolfsburg already nearly a third of the way through this stage. And I gotta say, I am very impressed by fourth place, Jordan White. Didn't really know what to expect of him. He's gotten so much better. He's moved over to Spirit Racing from Meatball Motorsports, and he has really gotten a lot better. Clearly, by this start to this race alone. I don't even recall exactly how well he did. I don't think he did very well back at Long Beach to start the season off as far as road courses go. So he has really picked up, and if something happens between Wolfsburg and Maddox, he's right there.
Well, not only that, Andrew, he also has the fastest lap currently on the session. We saw there in the replays. He got the notice that it is right now the Jamaican sensation who holds fastest time here at Watkins Glen. Things are still hot and heavy between Wolfsburg and Maddox, but I think they'll understand that we're still in the first stage here, and that maybe the physicality might be saved for maybe after they go through a whole restart and pit stop scenario.
Into the bus stop they go, lap number 6, a third of the way through this opening stage. Now, it is important to note the caution for the stage will be thrown as the leader enters turn number 7. That is an effort to preserve as many laps as possible on the far side of the stage break and not burn an extra lap under caution as these guys, we need to hit the pit lane and get fuel and tires. So the pace car then is able to pick up the race leader. It just helps make things a little more efficient in that stage break. But these guys, they're nearly side by side. Here we go.
Trying to get around the outside here. Maddox trying to outbrake him there. nearly contact as they break down to turn number 1. Maddox will find the runoff area. He'll find that tasty way out there. He'll lose ground to the 56 now, but he'll be all over that rear end as they go up the hill.
Maddox going to have to regroup here. On board, driver's eye POV. If I'm Brendan, I would think that Jourdain behind me should take it easy. They're not quite teammates. They're affiliated teammates, though. Spirit Racing affiliated with Maverick Motorsports. They all practice together. I would think Jourdain's going to take it easy, so... Watch, that's actually the wrong team name there, but regardless. I think I'm going to cool my tires down. If I'm Brendan, I'm just going to sit back a lap or two, cool them down, and try to go after Richard in a more, I guess, controlled manner, because that was a little wide there at turn 1.
A little bit, Andrew, but looks like he wants to fill up that rear view mirror on the 56 machine all he can. A big run there out of the carousel. We'll see if we can get anything here out of turn number 7. Looks like to no avail this time into turn number 1, but Maddox is keeping Wolfsfer's eyes all over the place in that cockpit. Oh, sideways!
A bobble there out of the 56 car. Brendan nearly put the bumper to him. Right here, contact maybe. Oh, and he's gonna hit the curb. He bobbles. Throw the advantage away. Jourdain now gonna have a run. Does he take it on Brendan Maddox? The answer is no. You'll sit back.
Oh man.
Really good stuff here. And there you see a battle behind these guys, actually. Adam Buzzio and Kyle Klenk, they've been battling the last handful of laps. I believe Buzzio recently passing the 31 car. And it's unfortunate Kyle couldn't commit to the chase this season. He made it on points, but had to back out. He's got some hockey obligations. He is, of course, a Canadian. Hockey does come before racing. I get it. Canadians will do. There we go. My brain's all over. It's been a long few days. But Canadians will do what Canadians will do. That's my point. So hockey taking precedence there for Kyle Klenk, but good to see him still racing when he can here, as there are some other battles throughout the field. Carl Pooler has recently passed Jason Bottoms, but that battle is far from over. This is for 15th. A little deeper in the field, Cole Lewis, Anthony DeSeo, and Robert Moyer Jr. as somebody slows Sam Dyer with a problem. This at turn 6. That allows that trio of cars to go on by. And for Evan Batinko, he has gained a couple of spots since his penalty. He is in 22nd after having served that penalty on lap number 1. Back up to the battle for second, third, and fourth. They have not lost that much time recently to Hall. Hall has started to back things down a little bit, Emerson. I don't know if you noticed that. The gap is staying right at about 2 seconds between Hall and Wolsifer. Stockero pulls off to let these guys go by.
Way out there. You're letting everyone by. But you're right, Andrew. I think Hall maybe understands he's got the advantage. There's no need to push hard, especially right now. You know a caution's coming. You know any advantage you gain right now is going to be wiped out. Don't wear yourself out. Don't force yourself into a mistake right now when you know any advantage is going to be all for naught here in about 6 laps or so. And so, you know, especially with how hard they're battling behind, I don't know if he's keeping an eye on that. But if he knows how hard they're battling behind, there's no real reason for Hall to be really pushing the limit.
Oh, Maddox!
Wow!
He's going to go sliding and spinning! Does he hit the wall? No, he keeps it off of the wall there in the bus stop. This is going to be huge, though, for his stage. I mentioned he needs to rebound, needs to recover. This is going to hurt him immensely. Down to 9th. Here comes Borbo to try and pass him. And Borbo will send it on the inside and just pull right up behind the 23 car. Those tires are going to be hot on that Toyota Camry. That is a huge mistake by Brendan Maddox. It looked to me like he just got in hot.
The tire's going to be hot. The driver's going to be hot as well. That is a mistake. You don't want to make this early into the race. And we'll take a look at it again. But, yeah, he just had a big run. I wonder if Wolfsburg braked earlier than he expected, or maybe he just missed his braking point. That was a lot to try to do, you know, with not really any opening. I'm not too sure where he was going to dive that car off into if it wasn't a mistake there.
I want to see if we can get a decent shot of the rear tires in that braking zone. I wonder if that was some wheel hop. I didn't really hear it there in the in-car. That's not quite what I'm looking for. Maybe here. No.
There is a bobble under braking.
Yeah, there's a little bit of chatter. Yeah, and there's some smoke.
Yeah.
I think he wheel hopped way deep into that corner. If you know what to look for, you know what to look for. Let me see if I can back it up and show it. So I don't have the telestrator anymore. Days are gone. But watch the rear tires. Yeah, they're shaking, bouncing up and down like basketballs.
Yeah.
When those rear tires bounce up and down like basketballs, that rear end housing is skipping along because it's wheel hopping. I mean, the rear tires, they chatter. They don't quite lock up like independent rear suspensions do, like in the NASCAR next gen car. But if you know what you're looking at, you know it. And that definitely costs 23 big time.
Got in there too deep then.
Meanwhile, 4 laps to go in the stage. We're on board now with Kyle Klenk, who runs in 5th, right behind Adam Buzzio. And Klenk and Walker are going to play spoiler here to the chase drivers. The 2 first drivers out of stage points currently are Fritz and Parent, and they could each really use them.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be huge. We were talking to Fritz earlier, and his whole plan was, to try to, be there at the end, kind of pick him up one at a time. Well, he's only made up 1 spot, and I believe that was probably more for incident than anything. So Fritz, not at the moment looking like he's not going to be able to take any advantage of any stage points at this, and Joshua Parent back here, so he's a couple seconds behind Fritz, so he's in the same boat.
Yeah, I don't even know how realistic it is for a Parent to try and get there before the end of the stage. At this point in time, it'll be 3 to go here shortly. 1.7 seconds back. He's only making up about a half second per lap. I don't think he gets there for that spot, and even then, they're 13 seconds behind the next car for stage points. Here's Fritz on board. He goes way out wide at 6. Look at this, 13.2 seconds up to Stephen Borbell. So, stage points out of the question for them unless somebody ahead has a really large issue. It could happen, though. Look at this little gaggle. Clark, Walker, and Johnny Wood. I mean, anything can happen here.
Yeah, big run for Johnny Wood here, trying to close that gap to Walker. And much smoother bus stop here as we see that 75. Yeah, a little bit of grass there.
Ray Walker does have a BRB win under his belt, and that came in the season for Indianapolis in a fuel mileage win. Tried to repeat some of that magic a week ago at Michigan. Didn't quite work out for him, but certainly was a lot of fun to watch as he came home relatively towards the front of the field, as I recall it. So good to see Gray being competitive as of late. Did miss the chase here in Season 5, but there's always Season 6, as we've already started to look at the Season 6 schedule a little bit these last couple of weeks. And we talked earlier, Emerson, about Hall kind of stagnating, kind of plateauing, not really pulling as far away from Richard Wolsifer as of late. He has really lit a fuse underneath his rear end. He's now 3.3 seconds out ahead of the 56 in just the last handful of laps. He is starting to really pull away.
I wonder if this, with the, now there's less fuel in the car, if this is maybe a fastest lap ploy. I don't know if they're still timing the tires for you to go for fastest lap, but no fuel in the rear end would definitely, help the car out in straight line speed.
We might have a battle here soon for second again. Jordan Hayne is right behind Richard Wolsifer. Goes a little wide there at 6. That's okay. Rein it back in for 7. Get a good run here for the front stretch. 1 lap to go. Stage number 1. That's also 1 lap to go in the Best in Show contest. We can recap the paint schemes in it if needed, but just 1 lap remaining in that vote. If you have not voted, now is the time to do so. Over on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitch, make the switch at least for a moment. If you're watching on a smart TV, I know you've got a smart device near you. You can do it. I know you can. A tablet, smartphone, heck, break out the PC real quick. I don't think Jordan's going to get there, but he is at least putting pressure on Wolsifer, keeping him honest. But we only have a couple of corners left to go as Hall approaches turn 6 and 7. That's where the caution will be thrown. He is right up behind Anthony Teseo. Teseo currently leading the best in show vote, but that caution about to come out in just a moment. Buzzio and Clank, they're racing. But it's going to be Buzzio, I think, over Clank, and the caution should come anytime now for the 32, at least per race control's notes. No caution. There it is. There it is.
Ooh, Jourdain did get a little close.
Yeah, he kept pressure on Richard, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. It does seem an interesting call. Oh. No, not even an interesting call. Problems. Big problems. The 22 is smashed up.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, are they allowed to shortcut the stage like that?
No, he towed to the pit lane. Here's a look at it.
Yeah, big damage there.
This is down into the bus stop for Josh Parent.
He made up so much ground on Fritz. It was all over him.
Oh, my gosh.
Man.
That's that. That's game over.
Yeah. That is terminal front end damage.
Not just game over for the day.
Or just too much speed?
Well, here's the onboard. I'm trying to diagnose it a little bit. I think it was the curbing that kind of set him up for it. Yeah, it's like the rebound off of the curb just got the car really upset. Man, that's unfortunate. Of course, Zach Murtis and I are team owners of Whiplash Racing, and Josh was our, I think, best opportunity to go for the championship this season. I think that's fair to say. So this is absolutely going to sting. Yeah, we'll take one more look at it here. Not much else to say. This is unfortunate. Just trying to hop those curbs. And
I think he got.
Go ahead.
He got too much curb on the first curb. Well, the second curb was fine. I think he got too much on the first curb. The car was already upset. And when he landed after the second curb, yeah, that was game over.
So your stage winner will be Zach Hall here in stage number 1. He gets it done. That's the race winner. Hang on. Stage winner. There we go. I'm going to start to get claims made that we fixed the race now if he ends up winning this thing. But Zach Hall.
He's putting a good case in himself.
Yeah, he definitely is fast, for sure.
They all come. Everyone wants some fuel and 4 freshies.
Everyone gonna get service. Everybody should be going for 4 tires and fuel. Jourdain White down on the way quickly. He's gonna make a run at second. Yeah, I think he definitely got the race off the pit lane, at least ahead of the 56 car there of Richard Wolsifer.
Wow.
We'll bring in and talk to the driver of the 32. I wanted to talk to him in pre-race, but he mentioned that he just might not be able to do it. Might not be able to make it in time, and got into the session a little bit late. Clearly, though, Zach Hall has put in plenty of practice, because, Zach, you're quick. That's the easiest way to put it. Led every lap there of stage number 1, and clearly that 32 is well-oiled for these road courses. And this is going to help you a lot, of course. You come into tonight a little ways out of where I think you wanted to be, for sure, coming into the chase and trying to chase a championship. 31 points out. This helps narrow that up a little bit. Even if you continue this, though, Zach, what's how much more pressure is there now on Talladega and beyond?
I think a huge pressure on Talladega. I think it's going to be make or break. After Michigan, that was worst case scenario, sit on pole and then just completely be knocked out before even the stage. So, yeah, that was tough. Put us in a big old hole. I thought tonight was going to be a chance to maybe dig some of those back, but I was like, Maddox is really fast, so I was kind of worried, but it seemed like he did make a mistake. So I think that helped a little bit, of course, to at least the lead gap. But, yeah, we'll have to have a really good Talladega. I think I'm not too concerned about the other races. I think I perform well at most tracks, so if we can take that one race of kind of anything can happen out of there, I think, and come with a good finish, I think might have a chance to at least salvage something out of this. I mean, we never know. I mean, it's racing, so we'll see what happens to the other guys. But man, it's been a fun first stage right there.
And you mentioned Brendan having some pace. That's certainly a driver to watch right there. Obviously had the mistake there in stage 1, but with the fuel situation, I think there's some options as to what you guys can do. Does that concern you at all as far as the win goes today?
Not too concerned. I typically seem to save a good bit of fuel, just the way I kind of lift and coast a little bit. I think more than some of these guys. I don't attack the braking zone. I kind of try to get that minimum speed up instead of that high entry speed, and I think that really helps the fuel saving for me. So with 38 here to go, I kind of like this. I really feel like that last 5 laps, I should be able to maybe stretch my leg on a few of these guys who maybe overheat their stuff. So we'll see, but I still gotta be careful here and just be smart, I think, the rest of the way through here.
Well, I know we couldn't check in with you in pre-race, but good to talk to you here as the race has already gotten going. And I don't know, I kind of have a feeling we'll be talking to you a little bit later on as well.
Well, I hope so, guys. Thank you.
Zach Hall with a good run so far tonight. We'll get him back up to his teammates as, boy, problems for Jordan White.
Yeah, I saw that. He first was almost stole a lap led across the stripe, and now he's no longer in the session.
Big problems for Jordan White. Give me just a moment here. Give me just a moment. We're not losing anything here, but I'm trying to check. So he has not throughputted. He's not officially dropped out of the session yet. That is large. So I kicked it over into our B-roll screen to check in the iRacing session if he dropped out yet. He has not yet. So it looks like a connection issue for Jordan here under the stage. I think that's going to completely change this race.
Yeah, that entire left lane.
Here we go. Restart zone. Stage 2 about to get underway. Zach Hall leads us down. We are racing again at Watkins Glen. Big move there in the S's. Brendan Maddox straight up to third. Gets by the 31, gets by the 5. Now a battle for Clank and Buzzio off the S's. Down the backstretch to the bus stop. Coulter Clark poking his nose in. He needs some points. He tucks right back in behind the 5 car as these guys all go side by side into the bus stop. A good look for the whole field getting on through on this restart.
Yeah, I wasn't sure Buzzy was ready to attack there on that restart. He all of a sudden was restarting second, and he's been on the defensive the entire start. Problems here for the 34 machine, just went straight through the bus stop, and I guess it's going to go with that slowdown time now. And no. Also, Anthony Tizeo in trouble.
I fumbled on the the best in show vote, so I will extend that out to lap 25, actually. I fumbled on that. That should have been ended during the stage, but then everything happened with Parent, and I got a little sidetracked. So that's on me. I'll extend that out to lap 25. Teseo is part of that. Let's go back and see what just happened to Teseo on this restart. But bear with me here as we queue it up.
Look at how close Hall got to the wall.
Oh, this is out of turn 1. Teseo had a problem out of the first corner. He kept going initially, and then I think he realized he had damage. Let's see what happened down here. Right behind his teammate, Evan Patinko, as he joined over at Whiplash Racing mid-season. This is on the exit of turn 1. Just got out there loose. Did he get hit? No.
Wonder if he had overheated tires and maybe made a mistake later in the lap. That's
right there.
exactly what happened.
That'll do it for Anthony Teseo, and that will just about call it for him. We'll get back up to live picture here. Carl Pooler racing with Jason Bottoms. Pass made down the hill to turn number 1 here on lap now 21. Jordan White not able to connect to the session just yet, but he can obviously reconnect. He can jump back in and get back in the race. Has not been able to do so yet, as now Patinko's under fire from Scott Fritz. Patinko had that penalty. Did his best to get back in the race here. He's 11th. And obviously Scott, I mean, these guys both really need points. Scott's going to go for it. Oh, wow.
Oh, you know what he
watch
did?
out.
He filled up his mirror, made him make a mistake. Big run now for the 48. This is chess at 150 miles an hour.
Jordan White has reconnected back on the racetrack. He's going to be 2 laps down, though. And there's no cautions on the way. Big dive! Scott Fritz to the inside at turn 6.
Talk about on the aggressive. Somebody's around in the back. Somebody around there in turn 6.
That was Sam
On the
Dyer in the
aggressive.
35. He'll get back going. Watch
Fastest
this.
lap for the 23. Oh,
Scott is on the offensive right now, despite even getting into Josh
Love
Parrott
it.
on lap 1. Wow,
Oh!
Patinko goes way out wide. He's going to lose both these spots. Pooler goes through.
that was all mental games from the 48.
Yeah.
He kept filling up the mirror, making Patinko look, making Patinko have to adjust his line, his braking, and that's exactly what happened there.
Meanwhile, Wolsifer still right on the edge of 1 second behind Zach Hall. Maddox now back into 3rd. Let's recap the drivers that are in it, the paint schemes that are in it for Best in Show today. Of course, the 18 of Gray Walker is on the ballot, if you will. There he is. We've nominated this paint scheme before, but it is a really good one. It is fantastic. The Interstate Batteries number 18 for Gray, just it is really, really good. We also have Dakota Bly on here in the number 8. He's got the Dale Jr. Amp Energy throwback. That's a special one for me for sure. 75 of Johnny Wood Jr., the Coors Banquet Chevrolet that we talked about a good bit last week at Michigan, and that is a good looking car. Man, that is really, really well done as far as the spec mount goes and everything. It definitely reminds me exactly of a can, or a bottle even, of Coors Banquet. And the other driver on the list would be the 15 of Anthony Teseo, who is currently in the pit lane. Other issues for another driver on the racetrack, Emerson. Issues now for Evan Patinko. He was just turned around in the early portion
man.
of the lap.
When it rains, it pours.
And the pour drink.
Yeah. So he made a mistake into turn 1 last lap under attack from the 48 machine. So this time, how does this happen? Not really under attack here. Just pushes the braking zone, maybe.
Scott Lewis, same thing that happened to Teseo. Same thing that happened to Teseo. There we go. He just ended up spinning a little more spectacularly and ended up impacting the inside wall there, but nothing too crazy. No big damage on that car. He continues on. All starting to get run down. Wolsifer and Maddox are with him now. I'm not sure what's changed between these three. Here they go. Bus stop coming up. That's how close they are to the wall.
Wow. All of a sudden, Zach Hall isn't big dogging him like he was in stage 1. This is going to get interesting. I wonder if there's fuel saving going on here. I wonder if there's any strategy to it, or, you know, that Wolsifer and Maddox, they just bolt up and get ready for it here.
I definitely could be wrong, but Emerson, I feel like Zach is going to be saving his stuff. Tires, fuel, all of it. I think he's saving what he's got and trying to make this a long game. And it is. I mean, it is, frankly, a long game between these three to try and figure out who's going to win this race. I think it's down to these three, admittedly. Clank is close, but I think these three are definitely the favorites right now for this particular race. Yeah, I Can't Drive 55 by Rev Sim Shop. What a race it's been so far. 30 laps to go next time by the stripe. And this lap is the final lap of that MX Wraps Best in Show contest. So, if you have not yet voted, the time is now. We've gone through those paint schemes again. It's the 18, the 8, the 75, and the 15. Zach Maddox has trouble. Good bit of nose damage. I think we can connect the dots pretty easily as to what happened there in turn 1.
Yeah, turn 1 is starting to get a lot of drivers, and I wonder if, I mean, it looks like the sun's kind of coming down. I wonder if maybe the track temp is coming down, but I don't know if that would really, I mean, I guess it would make it a little more free there in turn 1. Maybe, you know, people are hitting bumps the wrong way, but it's going to really catch drivers out the later we get into this race.
And today's MX Wraps Best in Show contest will go to driver 18, Ray Walker. He will get today's nod. And I do love this paint scheme. It is really good looking. Green is often labeled as bad luck on a race car, but no bad luck here. Gray Walker doing a fantastic job so far in the top 10 as a non-chase driver, kind of playing spoiler. And that is a good looking racing machine.
Absolutely. A couple good looking cars there, and some more up front. Wolfsburg really closing that gap now on Hall, under half a second. And I wonder, you know, as you said, maybe Hall's maintaining that gap. I wonder if he'll let them get closer, you know, if he is saving stuff, right? Or, you know, will he entertain a battle, or, you know, how much is he willing to play with the fire if he is saving?
Uh-oh, problems. Jason Bottoms in the S's. This is a tricky spot. Cars are approaching fast. You gotta be really careful. It's his teammate coming up next in Dakota Bly. This is a really, there we go. Bly gets by, really tricky spot. There goes Jordan White, and now he's got some room to do it.
What if he has a track map or a spotter helping him out here?
Here comes, I think, Dan Stockero. Yep, Stockero goes, and now Jason can get back rolling. So, the Jason Bottoms fan club. Whoa, is that the leader? That was. Wow.
That would have been... Ooh.
That was not ideal at all. Jason trying to get out of the way there with Coulter Clark. Going to do some landscaping here through the bus stop.
The groundskeepers appreciate that.
Let's take a look back here at what happened to car 17 to put him in this predicament.
Let's move through 1.
A lot of wheel there at the bottom of the S's. It unloads here at the top, and yeah, just got loose.
I wonder if there was a reason for him to put that much wheel at the bottom of the hill. Or,
You know, I'll be honest.
driving style.
I did some laps in this car, you know, in preparation for this race, and honestly, I felt like the nose just did not ever want to bite. So especially now a handful of laps in for these guys, and you know, you mentioned the track temp, it has stayed pretty stagnant. I wonder if they just
dropped a couple, but not enough to make a big difference.
Yeah, I wonder if they're just fighting the nose of the race car. Honestly, like I said, when I took a few laps, I just didn't have much bite in the nose. It's still fun. It is still a bunch of fun to take these cars around here, but I was really protesting with the front of the race car to just get in the racetrack and turn. So I wonder if that's part of it there for Jason. It seems like you've got to back up your corners, straight line them as much as you can, and try to focus on corner exit in this car on road courses for sure.
So all of a sudden the gap has opened up between Hall and Wolsifer, and so I think you're right. If Hall is saving, he's opened the gap back out to a little bit more of a comfortable distance to ride. As speaking of ride, this is about halfway right there. I guess just past halfway.
A little bit beyond it for sure. Looking at some battles on timing and scoring. One of them is going to be Johnny Wood Jr. and Gray Walker. We've gotten little snippets of this as we've checked in for, you know, best in show and whatnot between these two. But Johnny keeping the pressure on Gray. You know, Johnny, I said it back in Atlanta, I felt like he was going to be a favorite for the championship. He hasn't really been able to come into his own just yet as far as this championship goes, yet he's still right in the mix. He was competitive last week, finished top 3, but he wasn't ever, I think he won the stage. But other than that, I don't think he was like dominant or anything. He was just kind of around, competitive, sure. And tonight I think will be the one detour on what could be a championship winning season for him. This obviously will make it slightly harder going forward into Talladega. So he's going to need Dega to go right. I think the goal for any of these guys is to get through tonight, get through Talladega, and be on even footing with the race or the points lead, whether that's Brendan Maddox or somebody else, be on even footing as possible leading into Phoenix. Because when we get to Phoenix in Miami, that's when everything's going to change once again. We're back to those kind of intermediate style racetracks, or I guess intermediate / short style racetracks, and that's where these cars are right back at home.
That's certainly where everything will be more controlled. That's for sure. There's a lot of factors that can go on here, right? I mean, you just saw right there at the top of the hill, the 17 bottoms. I mean, you know, if he was not as observant, not as, you know, knowledgeable about the cars coming up behind, that could have been really, really detrimental to some competitors, right? And that's something that would have been out of control. Next to Talladega, anything can happen. That is going to be out of your control. And I suppose that can happen at Phoenix and Homestead, but it's just more likely, you know, wild stuff to happen at these tracks that, you know, promote that stuff.
And I want to go back to the power rankings coming into tonight. Here's a look at them once again, with Zach Hall well ahead in this metric. And again, I mean, take it with a grain of salt for tonight. I think when we get to Talladega next week, it'll be a little more formed up. It is always a work in progress. Joe Boyer, though, has done a fantastic job of setting us up with this formula, with this algorithm to get us started and you know, help us along the way. So it's always a work in progress. We're trying to make it as accurate to what we're seeing on the racetrack as possible. And I think we're getting really, really close with some of the changes that have been made lately. So always work in progress and always working on it. And a big thank you goes out to Joe Boyer getting us set up with this, you know, the formula that handles it all in the back end. But I think it's still a pretty good show of who to watch. Zach Hall, Adam Buzzio, Brendan Maddox, as of late, have been 3 of the top runners. I think certainly you could throw in Johnny Wood Jr. and Stephen Borbell, and I think that kind of gives you a top 5 of who to watch these final few races of season number 5, and I think that's reflected even in the standings. So I'd say these have done a pretty good job, and you know, back to today's race win, Emerson, I still don't know who out of the top 3, maybe even 4 with Clank, who is going to actually win this, because you and I were talking about it earlier. It's going to be interesting to see when these guys actually decide to pit. Maddox, wow, crash in the wall hard. That is a huge, huge problem. He's trying to, oh no! Coulter Clark smashes into car 23. This almost necessitates a caution. This is a really bad spot to be in. Thankfully, there was enough space after that to get the 23 rolling. Clark is destroyed. Maddox is destroyed. Clark is destroyed. Oh, watch out, Johnny Wood! Oh, man. Well, for 2 drivers that looked really good after Michigan last week, this is really, really detrimental.
That's not turning.
This isn't going to either.
He's not even trying to turn.
I'm impressed they're both trying to drive the cars back, honestly.
Yeah.
There you see Coulter Clark trying to nurse that car back to the pit lane. And Brendan Maddox in the background trying to do the same. I want to follow these cars to the pits before we go back for a replay.
Oh, that's probably why. Man.
There are more cars approaching. They have a little bit of daylight, though.
Oh, no.
Watch out. Brendan makes it, and Coulter will make it as well. So Coulter's going to smash into the Armco there one more time for good measure. Try to even the damage out, maybe, but let's go back and see what happened back here for the 23 of Brendan Maddox. He's already around there, so that's a good look at it, but not good enough. Let's see properly now for the 23. Everything looks okay into the corner on exit. Same thing we've been seeing for all these guys. Running wide.
Yeah.
The banking, not even banking, but the track kind of falls away from you, and it's really easy to get really loose. And Clark, I don't know. I mean, it's a really odd spot. Like that's practically the racing line, as we're seeing. But
yeah,
I feel like he had enough time to see that. I would think.
He saw it. Like maybe he second guessed if Maddox was gonna move, because Maddox did move a little bit, and
fair.
Yeah, I guess that was it. It all happened so fast, and then I think right there, just coming off of one, I think the pavement comes to a point after that curbing that upsets these cars, and that's what we're seeing. I was trying to see if the 23 was wheel hopping into the corner, and it looked like it was flying into the corner. It was corner exit that really got him. Oh, here's the Murda's mega miss opportunity.
It doesn't look that crazy from that on board, but let's go back to the original angle we had on this, because you'll see the 23 start to move. And Brennan's trying to pull forward and get out of the way right as Buzzio comes up on him. So watch this. Right here, Brendan pulls up. Yeah. That's hair-raising for sure.
Ultimately, I think what got Coulter Clark.
Yeah, I think for sure. But Murder's mega miss there for Adam Buzzio as this race continues on. About 20 laps to go. And, we've said it for all these road course races we've seen in the past. Cautions don't typically come out for incident in these races on these road courses. You need it to be a really large incident like we saw at Charlotte so many seasons ago. I think that was season number 2 or 3. So, those incidents like that, they're not going to draw yellow. You are left on your own. Local yellows only. Maddox is back on the racetrack, honestly, shockingly. He's got a modified. I don't know how long this is going to last. Not only is the suspension definitely bent up, the engine's got to have some damage. And
is that radiator cooling properly?
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to last. Jordan White has just passed Coulter Clark. That's for 19th. So Coulter's done. Lead changes. Here comes the 32 to the pit lane. Early.
20 to go. Can you go 20 laps on a tank is the question. I imagine you can. Is Zach Hall's pitting this early, and he's working it backwards. And this would open up quite the gap if he is any worried about Wolsifer's pace. This would do it right here, right? Get on the fresh tires while Wolsifer's on the oldest tires. Kind of work it backwards. This would give you that big gap if you can maintain the plateau of the older tires later.
I think this might be the way to go regardless, because even if he needs more fuel, he can stretch these tires out and just get a splash towards the end, and I don't think it's going to hurt him much at all. Yeah, I think undercutting here, getting tires on before the 56 car, I think certainly is going to help Zach Hall. Let's see how Wolsifer responds, if he pits or not. He didn't try to go around the outside there of Zach Maddox, so it seems like he might. Yes, he is. To the pit lane. Richard Wolsifer, Kyle Clank.
Clank, yep. It's going to give Buzzio the lead. And with that, I don't know, does that constitute points?
I do believe so. And that is something that I think race admins will need to review, actually. Jordan White pulled up ahead under caution and got a lap led that would otherwise not have been a lap led. So maybe something for admins to review later on. I do believe that is a bonus point. We'll see. I'm not sure how that's going to be treated as. I think with Buzzio and Borbell running a little bit longer here, this tells me these guys feel like they're good on fuel. So now I just wonder if it's that close, and if Zach is going to have to double stop, or if he knows he can go the final 20 to the end. As Wolsifer and Hall, here they are right together. Wolsifer exiting the pit lane right behind the 32. Zach did not get much benefit out of that, and you know why? Wolsifer didn't take 4 tires.
Wow.
Otherwise, it'd be like a 4-second difference between these two right now.
I don't normally like that call to road course, but I guess there's disproportionate amount of right turns here. Could get away with just taking left sides, I guess.
It's definitely a bold call.
I don't love it, but you know what? I don't hate it.
Buzzio going longer. Borbell stays out as well. Johnny Wood keeps going. Fritz will also continue on past the pit lane, and Carl Pooler, it seems, will come in. So, you know, it's a little bit early, I feel like, to theorize about the exact result of how the points will break down after this race. However, once this all cycles through, I do think Hall is going to be back in championship territory, not ahead. He certainly, I don't think, is going to pass Brendan Maddox in the standings, having been 31 out. Well, I say that. Maddox is down at 17th, so actually, yeah, maybe. We'll see, I suppose. It's going to be close. I think he and Maddox might exit Watkins Glen pretty close, as here's a pit stop now from Adam Buzzio. So then it kind of falls on the 2 and 75. Where do they finish?
Oh, no, Borbell.
Borbell, Wood, they each come in here, cutting the stage in half, it looks like.
Yeah.
Scott Fritz will follow in. There you see him in the background. He hits the pit lane. So Zach Hall will exit turn number 7 and start ripping down the front stretch once again in search of a 4th win this season.
Fastest lap. Wow.
I don't know that he's going to get beat. Richard is doing a fantastic job, I got to say. When it comes for driver of the day, I definitely am looking the way of the 56 in addition to the 32. Richard is doing a fantastic job. This is not at all what I would have expected out of Richard Wolsifer in terms of road course performance. I mean, even back to the stat line that we pulled for his pre-race interview, you know, 9 starts, no top 5s. None. Only 3 top 10s. That's a 33% top 10 percentage. It was a 50% top 10 percentage for Scott Fritz and a near perfect top 10 percentage for Adam Buzzio, 6 out of 7. So I did not expect this out of Richard, but you know what? To his credit, he has started running the North American Racing League on Thursday nights in the AM division.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
He's starting to focus a little more on the road courses. So he has been running the AM class on Thursdays in NARL, and he's not alone. Brendan Maddox has been running it. Coulter Clark.
Love to see that cross series.
I think Coulter. Maybe just Braxton Skinner. Maybe Coulter doesn't run it. But a handful of these drivers have been running over there and kind of crossing over. Robert Moyer even joined the series this past week at Spa. So more of these guys are trying out the GT3 racing on Thursdays and finding decent success. I think showing that they can get it done on the road course. Mason Houseman certainly has been leading as far as the conversion has gone from BRB drivers onto a road course, but still a decent job by the others as well, as Evan Patinko will hit the pit lane. And what could have been for Evan, it all went poorly last week at Michigan. Of course, got involved in the crash with Jordan White and Josh Parent out of turn 2, and actions later on in that race led to him having a penalty that he had to serve at the beginning of this one, and that definitely held him back today, I feel like, but has had a few issues since then. But Emerson, I know this isn't, I don't think it's your first ever experience of the BRB Racing League, but first certainly for season 5, and you come in right at a crucial time. This is going to be, I think, a very important race, looking back at whoever ends up winning this championship. What are your thoughts so far as we've gone 40 laps of 55?
I think with this being a playoff race, and you see Zach Hall dominating the race today, Wolsifer, as you mentioned, not really that of road racing prowess, but today putting on a great performance and staying very disciplined despite being attacked on and off all day long from the 23 machine of Maddox and Jordan White. That the cream is rising to the top when it matters most, and when it's chase time, when it's playoff time, you know, when it's postseason time, you know, the best of the best are going to lock in, are going to be there, and be ready to contend for a championship. And I think no matter what, you see that happen, and that's happening today. I think, Hall and Wolfsburg are trying to be, prime contenders in the championship chase this season. They're certainly going to put a good stake into that claim with, these runs today, along with Buzzio, Borbell, right? I think the drivers who are serious about contending for a championship, those runs are reflected today, even if they're not competitive, dominant runs. For the race win, they're, competitive and they're dominant in other ways, season-wise.
I think the big outlier today has to be Brendan Maddox. That's maybe the big letdown. He was really, really good early in the race, and even later here in stage 2. He certainly could have finished third. And man,
this could cost them.
Yeah, it's. I hate to tell a race car driver they shouldn't have been racing, but if he had settled for third, I think he easily could have taken it, and could have taken the points and taken that to the bank and kept a big lead over everybody behind him. I mean, in both the stage and the race overall, I think he absolutely has the ability to have easily finished third. Sure, you want to go win races, but there's something to be said, especially with NASCAR moving back to a chase format like we're doing here this season. There is something to be said for simply points racing.
Yep.
So I think this will be a moment of reflection maybe for Brendan later, because both of his issues entirely self-inflicted. And I know it's not like he did something specifically wrong. It's just the car got away from him, and that can't happen. I hope he, takes the night away from Discord tonight and just regroups tomorrow, looks back at this race and wonders what he could have done differently. I think, again, just sitting in line, I know it's really hard to tell a race car driver to not race, but if he had just run the laps, taken the points, it would have held Zach Hall completely at bay.
Certainly, and I'm sure there's probably other ways he could have attacked. Wolfsburg, maybe make it more of a mental game. Have like Jordan White beat Wolfsburg on the pit stop, and that was going to be a very intriguing battle. We obviously couldn't see how that turned out, but it could have been something like that where you sit there the whole race and you get into his head maybe mentally or strategically, and you work your way around that way, as opposed to maybe being a little over aggressive. I wouldn't even say that, but just being on the aggressive, and kind of forcing yourself into a mistake.
I want to give a big thank you, as always, to our partners with the series. Of course, there's a handful of them, and tonight's presenting partner, of course, is RevSimShop.com. But we do want to give a big thank you as well to Sundance Pizza, Ascendance Trucks, Ideal Lease, KC Athletics, RevSimShop.com, Performance Food Group, Whiplash SimCams, CC's Business, and MXWraps.com. A big thank you goes out as well to our partners here at the channel, Whiplash SimCams, MXWraps.com, ATVO, Murtis Esports, CC's Business, and the North American Racing League. And we are right at 10 laps to go, nearly. 11 that time by the flag stand, 10 the next. This race going on by in a hurry for these guys. I think that's the painful part too, is this is going to be a race that ends, significantly earlier than most races for this series. So it was a much smaller window that they had to just sit back and be consistent and not make mistakes. And I think that might even further aggravate some of these guys who have made those big detrimental mistakes tonight and given up so many points. Again, I hate to keep, pounding specifically on Brendan, but he had the points lead coming into tonight. Had he calmly run third, I think he easily could have had a 10-point lead out of here over Borbell, over Wood, and minimized the gains by Hall. And I guess I'm just lamenting for what could have been for Brendan, because this could have been a race that you look back at as a championship-defining moment for him, Now, this might be the championship defining moment for Zach Hall. Frankly, as Zach Maddox turned around. Bit of an American Airlines jump scare there.
At the same time, Andrew, next week is Talladega, and all this could be all for naught.
That's fair. That's fair. We could undo everything we're doing tonight next week.
So, that I love the fact that there's two wild cards of two completely different natures in this chase. I like that we have Watkins Glen, one that maybe takes a little bit more score or a different skill set, to be great at, and then Talladega, which is more of a mental game, being at the right place at the right time, kind of wild card.
I want to say really quick with the sun glare there, that was almost poetic as twin brother Brendan drove past the spun twin brother Zach Maddox. They crashed in about the exact same manner right there in turn 1.
Yeah.
Battle here. Bus stop, inside of 10 to go. Carl Puller putting pressure here on Scott Fritz. This is for 8th. I think Scott may have just passed him, though. One way to find out, actually.
Watch out for that tabletop. Big run for Puller.
These guys are pretty good little battle.
Scott, get a good run here. You're right. Let's see now. I mean, Puller really had a big lunge there into the bus stop. I'd say this battle's probably been ongoing. Big run here through 6. This is set up nicely for Puller here. Get a good run out of here out of 7, maybe. That'll be even.
Well, as these guys get ready to run to the end here, just a handful of laps remaining for all these drivers. Emerson, it is that time. North American Racing League Driver of the Day. I think there's certainly 2 easy nominations, then the waters get a little more murky.
Certainly. I guess you prompted me to...
Absolutely, you 100%. That is my cue that you are on the clock.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think you and I were gonna waste some time with the 2 that are obvious, so I'll go with Wolsifer. He's been very very planted today, very what's the word? Disciplined today, to the point where he's gonna get, or he's en route to maybe his best career finish on a road course. A great run for this 56 machine. And it could prove pivotal as they head into Talladega. I think Richard Wolsifer is definitely deserving of that, to be in that conversation.
I agree. I think, Richard and I'll take Zach Hall as the other kind of give me. As I could spend all night talking about how well he's done here tonight. Instead, I see that Kayla is in the YouTube chat and that my little one, Drew, or Andrew the Fifth, is watching. So if everybody could take a moment in the YouTube chat and just say, hi, Drew. We've got a 3-year-old watching this BRB Sundance Pro Series broadcast. That is how you get young kids involved in racing. You get them hooked from the get-go. He likes saying all the time, watch race cars, and this is what he wants to watch. Not the NASCAR broadcast, no. He wants to watch our broadcasts. I don't know, man. 3-year-olds, I guess, but... all the stats are on the screen for Zach Hall. I could talk all night about it, but instead I'll say hi, Drew, from the other room, and I will simply add Zach Hall to the list. Emerson?
Yeah, I'll go with the playoff spoiler up here inside the top 5 in Clank. He has been up there. As you mentioned, he would have made the playoffs, essentially, and he's a very hockey-focused driver. But today, he's been a very on-track-focused driver. Right now in that 3rd position under heavy attack here. No, that's a lap car, but he's under heavy attack from Jordan White. But Clank, he's put on a great performance, been very clean. You see, he started 4th, but he's been as low as 7. He's been up here all day. But the mainstay inside the top 5, top 10 of playoff spoilers has been this 31 machine. And I say Kyle deserves that shout out.
Yeah, I agree. Kyle... It was unfortunate missing him a few races this season. Glad that he was able to, pick up hockey for himself as a Canadian. That just makes all the sense, I suppose. But certainly look forward to getting him back on track full time very, very soon. My next look is actually going to be Robert Moyer Jr. I'm going to give him driver of the day simply for the most positions gained. 11 spots. I mean, and he is one lap down, but the sheer attrition, not making mistakes, just like I was talking about with Richard Wolsifer and others, starting to run over in NARL. Robert is starting to get an itch for road racing, and I think it's showing. Just the consistency, hitting his marks lap after lap. I got to give him a nod, but I'm going to quickly transition out of this to a battle for 8th. Carl Pooler has just made a pass here on Scott Fritz. There's a spin ahead. Who was that? Dan Stockero. That's who that was. Back to the battle, though, of Carl Pooler and Scott Fritz. This is far from over.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him a couple laps ago. It was Pooler kind of continuously putting on the pressure on Fritz. And Fritz was starting to open up that gap, but Pooler reeled him back in, was steady on that 48 machine, and now finds himself up ahead. We'll see now if Fritz has anything left in the tank in that 48 machine. The closing laps now. Big run to the bus stop. Don't tabletop it here, boys, in the carousel. Big run now, maybe pending for the 48 here.
Been a rough season for Carl, but also a season of triumphs for that number 71. Same for Scott Fritz. And Scott got in deep. I had flashbacks to lap 1 there. Oh my goodness, that was a little scary. But both Carl and Scott have had great triumphs this season and great misses, as that was a big slide there out of turn 7 for Carl Pooler. He's back on the attack now into turn 1. He doesn't want to give it up. He will give it, though, into turn 1, back over to Scott Fritz. These guys are approaching lap down territory. They have 10 seconds back to Sac Hall. They might be on track to lose this lap. It's going to be interesting. That could complicate this little battle between these two, but Carl, the only thing he needs, I think, to add to this season, switching over to Maverick Motorsports and a Toyota, would be a win. Maybe it happens at Talladega next week. Heck, maybe even Phoenix or Miami to cap things off.
Oh,
Gets back by Scott Fritz, who was able to get that first win of his career earlier this season. So these two have had interesting stories. Scott now will go fill an opening kind of vacated by Carl last season. It's interesting how all these stories kind of intersect, and these two are battling now here late at Watkins Glen.
certainly. And if these two are battling like this, there's, sliding all over the place, sliding off the track, I think it would be in the best interest if Paul does close in on this battle. Let him be. Got a 7.5 second gap. I wouldn't want any part of it.
Yeah, I think Zach Hall certainly, if he's got the telemetry that can show that he's approaching these guys, maybe he should tone it back and try to keep them in the windshield and not have to catch them, too quickly or anything. Let them do their battle. Although now it seems sorted out. Scott has fallen back.
Yeah.
And I think Carl might have the spot, at least for now. Maybe until he drops a wheel or something. Who knows? But that's about the most lively battle on the racetrack currently, as Zach Maddox is actually towed back to the pit lane. Problems here for the 14 car. This is not ideal.
Number one where not been his day. Oh, man.
That was right ahead of Kyle Klenk. So problems for the 14 car.
For that family.
Yeah, the Maddoxes, I don't think they're going to advocate for Watkins Glen to be on a schedule anytime soon.
Not a fan favorite there.
2 laps to go. And it's gotten quiet around the racetrack. There's only one battle within 2 seconds, and that is between Pooler and Fritz. We'll continue to check in on it briefly, but this is going to be, again, a very formative race, I think, specifically for this driver on your screen. This could be the turning point. The turning point for really the front row of the grid, because Zach started first, Brendan started second. Brendan is now 17th. He's going to finish 2 laps down or so and take a big loss in the points. He also didn't get all the stage points he should have. Meanwhile, Zach Hall is going to sweep the stages, or sweep the stage, I guess. Take the stage, there we go. and very likely win this race. So this is going to, I think, change momentums here in the series for sure, going into the final 3 races of the season: Talladega, Phoenix, and Miami.
Well, we questioned all day that does Zach Hall have what it takes to be dominant today? He's coming to the white here, Andrew.
White flag for Zach Hall, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. One more time around, and I do think he has started to pedal it back and not approach the 71 and 48 too quickly. He's still got about 6 seconds up to them. Here they are, up the S's. Carl and Scott not done just yet. Every once in a while, Scott gets a little bit closer in a braking zone. He's just got to put a corner or two together, and he might still be on the back end of that 71 car.
They're still going to have a whole extra lap after Hall crosses the line.
Oh, yeah. The checkers will fly for Hall, and we're still going to have this whole battle to watch. By the way, in case you're wondering about Jordan White, I know there's a few of you fans out there. He had a disconnection between stages. Everything was going right for him. Third in the stage, got up to second in the pit stop between stages. Disconnection. Lost internet and dropped out of the race. But off of turn number 7, this time by Zach Hall, is going to go up and match the most wins from season 4. 4 in the bank now for car 32. This one happens at Watkins Glen. Race winner of the I Can't Drive 55 is Zach Hall, brought to you by RevSimShop.com. Richard Wolsifer is some 7-8 seconds back even here. He is into turn 1 now. He has crossed the line. Kyle Klenk will take a podium. Good to see him back up front. Adam Buzzio here off the final corner will go for 4th. And the battle between Carl Pooler and Scott Fritz, it's not over, but it is wider than it was a lap ago. So here's the onboard of Fritz. I don't think he's getting there.
Yeah, at this point also, Pooler would be remiss to just, hit your normal braking points here in the last couple corners. Don't overdo it. Let the 48 make the mistake of trying to close that gap, and certainly that's what appears to be. Looks like Pooler will hang on over Fritz.
And that'll be good for 8th and 9th on the racetrack. There'll be 2 of the final 3 to cross the line. Still waiting on Brendan Maddox. There he is in the background, and oh boy, what could have been for him as his potential championship rival will cross back onto the front stretch behind him and have a chance now to celebrate. Zach Hall. That was cool.
So, how I'd sum up the performance he did today too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Again, this is just a big, big day for Zach Hall. 4 wins now on the season. He started this season 4 races late, entered in race 5. Was all those points behind, made him up. And here he is, potentially now the favorite for the championship. That might be getting slightly ahead of myself. We've still got 3 races to go. Talladega, Phoenix, and Miami. But, as there was some contact there in the pits, I think. Zach Hall certainly looks really, really good.
Parked perfect.
It's like he's done this before, Emerson. I did see some extracurricular between the 2 and I thought the 75. I think these guys are just having some fun.
Okay, are these friends? Are these not friends?
I think these guys are just having some fun here. Celebrating what was, for some, a very tough race, for others, a triumphant one for sure, as, I think these guys are going to have some fun going off of the turn 1 jump. I'll tell you, it wasn't very fun for Jimmy Johnson back in the day, but...
No.
We'll give them their moment to shine here, I suppose.
Oh, yeah. Look, Amy, you made it to the end of the race with a clean race car?
How? I have questions. I have many, many questions.
That's a screenshot right there.
Rusty Rafferty just hanging out here at the end of the race, but we'll go back and take a look at our unofficial race results. One of those nights here at Watkins Glen, I suppose, it makes you just want to leave your car up in the fence and walk away from the sim entirely, I suppose, if you're not Zach Hall, as Zach Hall dominates this one. And if you look at the laps led 50. That would have been 51. I wonder what admins will do, if anything, but Zach Hall does lead 50 of these 55 laps, 8.2 seconds over Richard Wolsifer. There was no catch in the 32 car tonight. It seemed like he could switch on the afterburners at will and ends up winning here at Watkins Glen. Richard Wolsifer second. Kyle Clank will complete your top three. We'll talk to each of those three drivers here in just a moment. Adam Buzzio, Stephen Borbell, solid top fives. They're adding to their stats that are already strong here on these road courses in BRB. Johnny Wood Jr. ends up sixth. Not a bad points night. Gray Walker seventh. Carl Pooler eighth. On down through Scott Fritz. And how about, I believe, a first career top 10, I believe, for William Maple Jr.
Hey, good for him. And we'll find our way now to, I'll call this Heartbreakers Row. Maybe except for Robert Moore. But Evan Patinko, as you know, what could have been with him with the pre-race penalty, or the beginning of race penalty for the 81 machine. Robert Moore will finish 12th. Sam Dyer, 13th. Had a rough go today. Rusty Rafferty, I think his it was demonstrated in the post-race antics, will be the last car one lap down. Cole Lewis, Dakota Bly, Brendan Maddox, what could have been for the 23 machine. All three of those drivers 2 laps down. 3 laps down, you'll find Jourdain White. What could have been on that restart? That could have been a very fun restart. Jourdain White, Zachary Hall, Wolsifer, and Maddox would have shot right up there as well. I guess we'll never know, right? But Dan Stoccaro had a few moments today in the 19th position. He'll be 5 laps down, and Zachary Maddox also had a eventful ending. He'll finish P20, 9 laps off the pace.
4 cars here on page number 3. Clark, Bottoms, Teseo, and Parent. Not good days for each of these drivers, of course. Parent out early in stage 1. Teseo just made it into stage 2. It did not go well from there. Jason Bottoms out early after his issue in the S's, and Coulter Clark out after the big crash there with Brendan Maddox. They were all chasing the number 32, and sure enough, at the end of 55 laps, I think truly now we can say that Zach Hall can drive 55, specifically here at Watkins Glen, but you'll need to drive a lot more than 55 the last 3 races. I know we hit on it a little bit at the stage interview, Zach, but your work is still cut out for you. How do you approach these last 3 races?
I gotta have nights like this. I know Talladega is about impossible to have a night like this where you control your destiny fully here, like you don't in Talladega. So, man, if I can go to Homestead in Phoenix and kind of put up this performance, I think I can have a shot at it. But I still, again, cannot go to Talladega and just have a complete loss of points. I need to kind of either stay even or maybe and hopefully gain a few. If I gain a few, that would be amazing. But yeah, I think tonight, personally, couldn't win about as perfect as possible. I think I got every single point I could, and it looks like a few guys made mistakes. So I'm very interested to see where the standings come out after this is all said and done. But man, really happy with the performance tonight. I didn't really make too many mistakes. Made a few here and there, but there was nothing to really be like losing major times. It was tenths of a second, not halves of a second. So that was really critical, I think, in just being consistent and hit my marks every lap.
Yeah, I think I could ask you several questions about the race tonight, but frankly, the driving spoke for itself. Those specifically the final 2 races of the season, we've seen some intermediates already, so maybe even throw Miami out. But I think Phoenix, certainly it's an ARCA track. ARCA goes to Phoenix, every year. But have you tested these cars there yet? Do you have an idea how these things are going to drive there? I think in a league format, I know Phoenix has been a little tricky for these guys in the past. That certainly can be kind of an all or nothing race for the whole field.
It really can be. Phoenix is one of those tracks you either have 20 yellows or you have 2 or 3 and somehow it stays green. It's really one of those tracks that mayhem can happen, of course, with just the fanning out there in the dog leg. But no, I haven't ran any laps. I've only done really the short track laps that we've ran this season. So Phoenix it's a weird one for me personally. Like I've had times where I'm lights out there and I'm like I feel like I've got everything figured out, and then I've went there times and I've been like I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But it'll definitely be a track I think I actually need to really put some work in probably too and prepare for, because I don't think it's one of those races I can just show up and just hope I'm quick, because it's usually one of those tracks that you got to really find the line. It can change from car to car, and I'm very, very interested to see that, because I know dirty air will be a factor. Clean air is huge there, so if I can just go find some really, I think, good qualifying pace, that'll allow me at least to get up front and kind of control my destiny from there. And always being out front, it gives you that ability just to drive that little bit under the limit, because you got all that grip compared to the guys that don't behind you.
Adding to the win total, still a series-leading total, now up to 4 wins here this season. Matching the 4 races you missed at the start. Congratulations, Zach. It has been a crazy season to watch those 32 cars. Still a few to go. Best of luck.
Thank you, guys.
That call with a big one here at Watkins Glen. Again, Emerson, I feel like this is going to be one of the races we look back at this season very specifically if he ends up winning this championship as to why he won this championship. That said, position number 2, Richard Wolsifer had a big night himself. Here he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Driver of the number 56, just so disciplined today en route to a second place finish tonight. Richard, tell us about your evening.
It was exactly how we needed to run the race. I just tried to keep as calm as I could and be as consistent, as I could possibly be. I had some pretty good times in practice. I had practiced before the even session opened, so I was trying to get used to this car and the track, and figured something out a little bit. Brendan definitely, I think if Brendan got around me, there was no catching him again. But I think he overshot his braking zone or something going into the bus stop. I'm not quite sure. But no, I was doing a little bit trying to catch Zach Hall there. Also, he was telling me just before I got pulled up that I was making him sweat a little bit. So overall, I'll say second place with Zach Hall in the race. That's a huge W for me. I'll take that.
Certainly, a great result for this 56 machine. Today, you kind of endured relentless attacks from Brendan Maddox and then also a few from Jourdain White. How do you kind of, not look at the rearview mirror every time these guys kind of, dive off to the, inside of you into the corner, and kind of maintain your own race, not really give them, the light of day, to force you into a mistake?
I will say that was something I had to force myself not to do, was just stare at my rearview mirror. I focused on what was in front of me. I focused on being consistent with my line. Every now and then, if I looked at my relative and saw he was getting a little closer, I would take a glance just to see if he was trying to make a dive or whatnot. But I was doing everything I could to kind of control the pace of what I was racing, which kind of controlled what was behind me. And it helped out a lot. I know I decided to take only left side tires at lap 30, whatever it was, during the green flag runs, just to try to keep up with Zach Hall, because I knew he was going to be way ahead of me after the pit stop. So I took 2, came out behind him, and I was keeping up with him for a little bit. And really, once he started kind of pulling away, I just kind of was running time trials. I was like, I got to figure out how to run a little bit faster each and every lap. So I did have a few scary moments in the race where I even told to my teammate Johnny in the Discord, I was like, oh, my race is almost done. Oh, I'd get a little loose going into the final turn or something like that, and I'd feel the rear end step out too far. But luckily I was able to save it. It was a pretty good race. I'm really happy with that finish. Like I said, Watkins Glen is one of my favorite road courses, so really happy with that finish tonight.
So it was a 14th place finish last week at Michigan. Now a much better result in the column for the 56 machine. Now you look at the Talladega. What's your game plan now? I guess you have to take a look at the points, which I hear are also going to be very tight as I'm hearing. But take a look at the points. What's your game plan going into Talladega? Can you game plan for Talladega, considering that so much is out of your control?
Oh, Talladega is really hard to game plan for. It's a lot of times it's luck of the draw, being it's a super speedway. But Johnny and I are going to do our best to try to be in the right place at the right time to stay out of the issues. A lot of times we like to get up front and kind of control the pace. So we're going to try that. And if that's not the case, we might fall back a little bit and kind of let the chaos happen when it's about to happen. So just gonna hope for the best and try to make as little mistakes as possible between us.
Well, there you are, Richard. Congratulations on the second place finish tonight here at Watkins Glen, and best of luck to you going forward the rest of the playoffs here, man.
Thank you, Emerson.
Richard Wolser with a big night here this evening at Watkins Glen. We do have points news. We'll get to that in just a second. Let's bring in our third place finisher. First, though, Kyle Clank with a strong third place here at Watkins Glen. And, you go back to the beginning of the season, Kyle, I definitely recall you being good at Long Beach, being one of the drivers we watched really, really closely. And, unfortunately, hockey, for us Americans, I don't think we completely understand, but I know that's a big deal to you guys above the border. Obviously kind of takes you out of the chase, but do you have any regrets now after this kind of run here tonight?
I kind of have a little bit of a regret to choose hockey over this because I felt like I could have made a deep run in the chase, but it is really nice to get a good finish. It's also nice to get the title sponsor car a good finish today too. So yeah, a little bummed out, but I mean, the silver lining is I brought it home third.
Yeah, definitely a big night for you here this evening. And, to my understanding, I believe it's your intention to come back in Season 6. So even if it isn't to run at the championship right now, this is a lot of really good foundation for you to add to your repertoire and build on for Season 6 next time around.
Oh, for sure. It's just nice now to kind of go into these races and take them as a complete learning experience instead of kind of shaking my boots trying to get the best finish possible. It's just, okay, let's take it corner by corner and learn from these guys in front of me. I was really happy in the second stage there that I could keep up with Brendan, Richard, and Zach just to kind of see their lines and know that I had pace. I kind of fell off at the end, unfortunately, but it was really uplifting to kind of just be there.
And of course, I know hockey is the main focus right now. It makes sense. It's February. I get it. What's the schedule going to allow you to do these final three races? Can you make all three? You going to miss one or two? What's going on there?
Unfortunately, I think the schedule is going to take me out of Dega and Homestead. So I'm looking forward to Phoenix, and I'm going to probably practice up for that one because that'll be the last one I can make.
Well, Kyle, we've loved getting to know you here this season. Look forward to seeing you at least one more time here before Season 5 is over, and hopefully many times in the future.
Hope so, too. Thank you very much.
Kyle Clank with a big night here in the RevSimShop.com Chevrolet. And Emerson, we have big news on the point standings front. Of course, we knew it was going to be a big night for Zach Hall at the office, and we knew that the lead might change hands over to somebody like a Stephen Borbell or a Johnny Wood Jr. Well, turns out, as we get set for Talladega next week, it is going to be a tie for the points lead between Stephen Borbell and Johnny Wood Jr., who finished 5th and 6th respectively tonight. Borbell there in the foreground, Wood in the background. They're going to be tied going into Talladega. That's crazy. And it does not get too much farther strung out from there. It stays crazy throughout the whole top end of the standings. I would say top 6, if not 7. Scott Fritz is a little far back now, but to go through your top 8 even, this is how things are going to break down going into Talladega next week. Stephen Borbell, Johnny Wood Jr. tied. 3 points back, Adam Buzzio in 3rd. 6 points back, another tie. Zach Hall, Brendan Maddox tied in 4th in the standings. Of course, Hall has a tiebreaker at 4 wins. Maddox only at 1 this season. Then Richard Wolfsfer sits in 6th. He is just 9 points out of the lead. So any of those spots, any of those drivers getting a stage win would completely change the top 6. Wolfsfer could take the points lead by getting a stage win at Talladega, depending on where Borbell and Wood finish in the stage. So certainly, very, very close. Scott Fritz is only 18 points out, so he didn't lose anything tonight. And then Coulter Clark ends up losing a good bit, but even he is only 22 points out of the points lead. So he is still, I think, within range. I think for a chase format that easily could have gotten out of hand at any point in time, Emerson, to have 8 drivers within 22 points going into the wild card of Talladega, this is peak sim racing right here.
Certainly, Andrew. And look at tonight. We had a car count of 24. I imagine most leagues have this where you go to a plate track, you get a few more people coming out of the woodworks, so the car count could be a little higher going into Talladega as well. 22 points is nothing when you're heading into Talladega next week. That should be a very, very fun show. I can't wait to see what we're looking at as we head into the final couple races afterwards.
Phoenix and Miami will certainly be interesting races as well to cap off season number 5. More about that, of course, as the season goes on, these final 3 weeks. But we've got an award, where North American Racing League Driver of the Day vote, and we gave some extra time here to see who could grab it. I've got a surprise for you, Emerson. It's not the driver who finished first or second or third. It's going to go to Robert Moyer Jr., driver number 16. All those positions gained to get up to that 12th spot are going to grab him today's Driver of the Day honors. He kept his car in one piece, and that's a lot more that can be said for a lot of drivers here tonight. So certainly props go out to Robert Moyer Jr. keeping the car together and having a consistent, clean finish just one lap down. I'm going to be honest, for somebody who is broadcaster first, racer second, I think this is a good day for Robert, and I think he'll be happy with that Driver of the Day nomination and award when it's all said and done. And of course, Emerson, we've got plenty of broadcasts coming up here on the channel. Here's a preview as to what is next up for us. Thursday, a bunch more road racing as we take GT3 cars out at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm excited. That is a track we don't get to visit very often in terms of road racing, so going to be a lot of fun. Thursday evening, 7:45 Eastern at the North American Racing League. We double up on Thursday, though, and we have the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series with their final mystery round of this season. They'll be capping their season off at Southern National next week, but for now, one more mystery race to go. And then next Monday, as we begin a new week of racing, we take the NORA Retro Cup Series out to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That'll be a whole lot of fun. 2003 NASCAR Cup cars. I'm excited for that as well before we get back going at Talladega next week.
Yeah, I mean, what a fun slate of races we got coming up here. I mean, I've been watching a little bit of that NORA Retro Series. It's been a lot of fun to see, you know, the older Cup cars, the Cup cars that you and I grew up watching, kind of brought back to life by that series. It's been a lot of fun, you know, to kind of keep tabs on those broadcasts. Of course, NARL always has a huge place in my heart. You know, it was a huge part of when they first came on to Pit Stop TV, and it's great to see him still be a partner here with us here at Pit Stop. And yeah, glad to see we still got some short track racing action as well coming up here throughout the week. But I am really excited to see where BRB heads to coming up next with Talladega.
A lot of great races coming up. Plenty of places to watch down below on the bottom of your screen. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and X. We certainly appreciate you joining us here this evening. It has been a pleasure as always. Want to give one more big thank you to all of our partners with the series, of course. Leading off with Sundance Pizza, they do so much for this championship to keep it alive and well. And boy, it is well right now. 8 drivers, I think, all have a very good chance to win this championship here in Season 5. It could be anybody. Keep an eye out, these final 3 races. Anything can happen. A big thank you as well to Sundance, Sundance Trucks. So Sundance Pizza, Sundance Trucks, Ideal Lease, KC Athletics, RevSimShop.com, Performance Food Group, Whiplash SimCams, CC's Business, and MXWraps.com. A big thank you as well to our partners here at the channel, Whiplash SimCams, MXWraps.com, ATVO, Murtis Esports, CC's Business, and the North American Racing League. Emerson, glad to have you here tonight, but that will do it for us at the legendary Watkins Glen International. We'll see you all next time here on Pit Stop TV, hopefully this Thursday for our new double with the North American Racing League first and the Sim Auto Racing Association second. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll see you at Indianapolis and who knows where for that mystery round later that night. there's the white flag from Barney the Flagman. 1 lap to go at Long Beach. White flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams.
Yeah, can really hold him off. He looked like he's started to gap Cantonio just ever so slightly. Got about half of a second. It's been hovering right around there. Oh, Cantonio really pushing. He's sideways out of turn number 1. But Rayleigh just keeping that car pointed in the right direction. Nice and smooth, able to keep it going. It's going to be tough. Cantonio knows that there's not very many chances, even if he can get close enough to him to make a move. So we'll see as they come through 6 and 7, head toward turn 8 onto the backstretch.
Deeper in the field, nothing changing. Lap traffic ahead. It's Kevin Peak and Bradley Alvis right in front of our race leaders down East Seaside Way. And to turn number 9 for the final time. Lap traffic in the way, and Rayleigh goes for it on Peak. He sends it into turn 9. He knows he can't wait. He knows he can't give an opportunity to Kevin Cantonio. Cantonio's going to take it anyway. Ships it into the hairpin, and Rayleigh's going to get away. Thomas Rayleigh is going to be a race winner in the North American Racing League. A last lap bump and run wasn't enough. This man wins at Long Beach.
Wow, what a finish coming through that hairpin. I thought they were all going to wad it up. We had lap traffic in there, staying in there.
Zelazny might have a run here. He pulls up. 2 laps to go at Auto Club Speedway. What a run this has been. 5 cars out front just dancing around for the lead. Salas back to the bottom. Honeycutt stuck up top. Slide job out of Salas. Crossover out of Honeycutt.
23 showing the big run here. He does.
You see Salas starting to cover it up. He goes up the racetrack. Honeycutt's clear of them both. He shoves it up in front of the 23, gets himself loose. It'll be white flag this time by. Salas down low. Zelazny looking for a hole. Side by side, 3 wide, Coffee in it. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. Brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. Who is going to win the Luke's Playhouse 200? Honeycutt controlling the race. Coffee in second. Tires are aging. Zelazny off the top rope. Got a little bit free. He's going to crash with lights. And yes, wall there. Who knows? Honeycutt, though, leading the race. Can Coffee get a run? He's going to send it. He hits him. Big bump and run. Coffee's going to try and get away. Can Salas get there? Coffee's going to crash. Salas is going to crash. Watch Nick Lights here to the stripe. Salas is going to do it with no front bumper.
Unbelievable.
Wow.